Today we are continuing our Romanian for Expats classes. Please like and share our page and share the lesson if possible. Enjoy. Today we are going to continue with some grammatical aspects. Last time we went over some phonetical aspect of the language and we've covered pretty much everything. And now we are going to move on and acquire some basic knowledge in order to be able to build on top of it, to have a solid foundation so we can start to communicate slowly but surely in Romanian. So last time we went over the conjugation of the verb to be, a fi, but we only discussed the singular part, and now we are going to add to that the plural. The plural is very, it's a bit different because the form of the verb is a bit different than that of the singular form. But once we go over it, you are going to see that there is a sort of a scheme, so to say. And once we will learn about other verbs, you will see that there is a pattern for sure, and that is going to be a little bit easier to learn other verbs as well. So let's revise what we learned last time. So eu sunt, tu ești, el este, or el e, ea este, or ea e. I told you last time that this is sort of the abbreviated form, the short form of the verb to be, which is just for the third person singular. Noi suntem, voi sunteți, ei sunt, ele sunt. As you probably remember from the last time, I told you that in Romanian we have two different personal pronouns for they, and they are different based, there is a gender distinction there. So we use ei most of the time for masculine when we talk about male, but also when we have a group of mixed gender, when we have males and females, we will refer to them using ei. And ele is just for females. So let's see some examples here. Noi suntem prieteni. We are friends. Voi sunteți împreună. Are you together? Ei sunt părinții mei. They are my parents. Ele sunt frumoase. They are beautiful. So a little observation here. In this sentence, ei sunt părinții mei, we talk about the parents. So we use ei because the parents obviously have both genders, so males and females. So for that, we will use ei all the time, or for a group of people and about which you don't know if they are either males or females, we will refer to them generically as ei. Another observation here, this is just sort of to introduce other aspects of the language. We will tackle them later on. Părinții mei, which can be translated as my parents. As you can see, the possessive adjective is reversed. So the position is reversed. So it would be parents my, if we were to translate it literally. So the order of the adjectives and the nouns in Romanians is the exact opposite of that from English that we have in English. But we will discuss this later on in more detail. Okay, I've prepared for you here a short exercise just with the new information that we've added today. As last time, I've prepared for you another exercise, a similar one, but with the singular form of the verb to be. So if you would like to, you can just pause the video and you can fill it in. And during the next class, I'm going to give you the answers and you can check it, or it's really easy. You can check it just by looking at the table right here. Okay. Now we are going to discuss a little bit about the negation of the verbs, which is actually really easy in Romanian. For example, if we talk about the verb to be, a fi, we simply add nu in front of the verb. Nu means no in Romanian. So we just simply add that in front of the verb. For example, eu nu sunt inginer, I'm not an engineer. Tu nu ești profesoară, you are not a teacher. Or ea nu este fericită, she isn't happy. So we simply add nu, and that's how we negate the verb. And we will see later on when we start to acquire more vocabulary and different verbs, we will see that there is a sort of an abbreviated form of the verb in Romanian, but only when we talk about negating them. So for example, as we have in English, isn't, this is an abbreviated form. We have something quite similar in Romanian, but we are going to discuss that in detail once we get there. So to have a concrete example to talk about that part. Okay, so now we are going to look at the numbers. For now, we are just going to look at the numbers from 1 to 20. And later on, we are going to discuss those above 20. They are quite easy, actually. I'm going to give you a little hint to help you learn them and remember them. The most important part is for you to learn the numbers from 1 to 10. And if you know these very well, then the rest of the numbers will be very easy to learn. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be careful here of the CI groups of sounds and the CE group of sound. As you remember, those are pronounced differently in Romanian. Let me just mark them here for you. So when you try to read them on your own, you will know that they are pronounced a little bit differently. So we have 5 and 10. Okay, so let's read the numbers from 11 to 20. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so now let me break it down for you so you will actually be able to learn them a lot easier. So if we were to split, for example, 11, 11, we would have un spre 10. Spre actually on its own means towards. So if we were to translate the word literally, it would mean 1 towards 10. 10, as you can see here, is 10. Let's look at the next one. 2 spre 10. 2 spre 10. 2 towards 10. So all of them have spre inside. So that is a sort of a pattern that appears, and that's going to help you memorize them a lot easier. Let's look at the other one. 3 spre 10. I've marked here 14 and 16. Why? Because they are a little bit different. So we don't have here patru as the as number 4. We have 14. And the same thing goes with 16. We don't have 6 here as number 6. We have 16. So these are the two only exceptions, but other than that, it is just the number plus spre, towards, plus 10, which means 10. And I actually wrote it down here for you, so you will have a written form of this explanation as well. So this goes on for numbers starting from 11 and up to 19. When we talk about numbers like 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on, we have a different pattern, so to say. It's not actually a pattern, I'm just calling it a pattern so to make it more easier for you to understand. But 20 actually means 2/10, 2/10. And by logical deduction, 30 would be 3/10, 40, 4/10, and so on. But we will talk about this once we get to that part. This was just sort of a preview of the other numbers as well, just to let you know that they're actually quite logical and easy to learn once you get the hang of it. Okay, and now that we know some numbers and we know how to conjugate the verb to be, we can now express the time in Romanian. So it is very easy. To express the time in Romanian, we use the verb to be, a fi, plus ora. Ora literally means hour. For example, este or e ora 1. It is 1 o'clock. As I've mentioned before, we don't have in Romanian a personal pronoun for it. But as you can see here, we have the form of the verb, this form, este, is for the third person singular. So for ea or el, he or she. And because in Romanian we don't have a pronoun for it, we will just write the verb here. Also, another thing, in Romanian, it is very possible, and you are very encouraged to do so once you learn the language. You can leave the personal pronoun out, something that we cannot do in English. Why? Because, for example, in this case, este, this form of the verb is only for the third person singular. So it's actually understandable from the verb which person you are referring to. If you say, for example, suntem, let's go back to the examples a little bit. Here, suntem prieteni. We can just leave noi out. We don't have to mention it. Why? Because suntem is the conjugation for noi. Only noi has it. For the other personal pronouns, the verb is different. So it's understandable from the verb that we are talking about we, suntem. Suntem on its own means we are. But in English, we need to specify the personal pronoun because we have only am, is, and are. So if we don't mention it here, we could be talking about anyone, basically. We could be talking about you, about they. So we're not sure. That's why we have to mention it. And this goes on for the other versions of for the other conjugations of the verb. Okay, so that is why here we just have este. We don't have to mention a personal pronoun here. So este ora 1, it is 1 o'clock. Other important words when it comes to telling the time would be un sfert, a quarter, minut, minute. I wrote you here in the brackets the genders of the words. We are going to talk about gender probably during the next class, because gender is a little bit tricky in Romanian, so to say, because it's once you get the hang of it, it's going to become easier. But at the beginning, it's going to be a little bit hard because it doesn't really have a logic. It's yeah, we're going to see that during the next class. So I wrote you here the plural form, minute, because it is exactly the same as minute in English. I'm talking about the way in which we write it, the written form. But it is how we should pronounce it is minute, minute. For example, un minut, 2 minute. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Okay, secundă, which means second, and we have the plural form secunde. For example, o secundă, 2 secunde, 1 second, 2 seconds. Jumătate, which means half, o jumătate de oră means half an hour, and oră is means hour, and we have the plural form ore. For example, o oră, două ore. 1 hour, 2 hours. Okay, let's see some examples. Este ora 4 și un sfert. For 4:15 p.m. It is 4:15. We have here she, which means and. So we need to add and when we want to add the minutes to the hour. So it is not a precise, an exact time of the day. We also want to add the minutes, so we need to add and here. Okay, or an even shorter form would be e 4 și un sfert. We use the other form of the verb, which is a lot shorter, and it is very commonly used. Another example would be este ora 2 și jumătate for 2:30 p.m. or how we would say it in English, it is 2:30. Este ora 2 și jumătate. The reason why I put she in brackets is because in this case, it is optional. We can either put it or we don't have to put it. It's up to you. All right, and there is a more colloquial form of the word jumătate, which would be jumate, but the correct form would be this one, jumătate. This is the correct form, but this is just the colloquial form that I've added here for you to see. Okay, and now we are going to do this exercise together, or I'm going to do it for you, so you will see how we have to think about the way in which we have to express the time. And then I put for you here a short activity where you have to write these times of the day on your own. And I will give you the answers probably during the next class. Okay, so let's see here. So 5:15 p.m. or 5:15. So we need to add the verb first, este or e, ora 5 și un sfert. So it is 5:15. We need to add she, this is a must in this case. We need to add the verb, this is how we start. And then also, we can leave ora out. It is also optional. This is more commonly used in the colloquial, in the informal context, honestly. So the correct way would be to put it, but if you leave it out, it's going to be understandable. Like people will understand what you say, because probably you will be answering the question, what's the time? So, and you will be telling them the time, so you don't need to add ora. It's not a mistake if you do, but just so you know. Okay, let's see the next one. 6:30 p.m. or it is 6:30. We need to add the verb first. Este or e, ora. Now we add the numbers, 6 și jumătate. So as I've mentioned, she in this case is totally optional. And the other form for jumătate would be jumate, which is just used in the colloquial context, in an informal context. So I've just given you this form so you will know it. It's not mandatory that you remember it now. It's enough if you remember jumătate. Okay, and now we have 10 p.m. It is 10 p.m. Again, the verb este or e, ora 10. Or it would be perfectly fine to just say e 10. This is the shortest way possible in which you can express the time. E 10, using the short form of the verb plus the number, the time, 10. Okay, and last one. It is 1:30 p.m. or 1:30 p.m. Again, the verb este or e, ora 1 și in brackets și jumătate or jumate. Again, she is optional in this case. And the shortest way in which you could say this would be e 1 jumate. So this is the shortest form of this entire sentence. This would be most likely used in an informal context. Let's see for the other ones here. The shortest form would be e 6 jumate. Again, the verb, the number, and the minutes. Jumate, the shortest, the other form that is used in a colloquial context. And for this one, the verb, the number, and here we need to add. It is mandatory to add she, even when we want to use the short informal version of this sentence. E 5 și un sfert. It is a quarter past 5. Okay, so during this lesson, we've learned a lot. We've learned the numbers, which I highly encourage you to repeat. Try to read them out aloud on your own, and try to keep in mind what I've told you about the numbers from 11 to 19, because it's going to make it easier for you to remember them and to learn them. And probably next time I'm going to give you the other numbers above 20. And you will see that its numbers are actually quite easy in Romanian, so they will not pose a problem. Other aspects will, but this part is quite easy. Okay, we've also learned how to negate the verb. This will go for all of the verbs that we will learn from now on. Next time we are going to learn the verb to have, and we are going to learn how to express someone's age, how we can say in Romanian how old we are or how old someone is. Okay, so I really think that this lesson was very productive, that we've covered a lot, and that you've learned a lot during this lesson. I think it is more than enough, because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed with too much information at a time. You need some time to process it, to process everything, and to get a feeling of the language, which is the most important thing for you. I highly encourage you to do this activity on your own. Try to not look at this part, or if you find it harder at the beginning, you can just look and then solve it. But if not, you can just test your knowledge that you've acquired until now. Thank you very much for participating. I really hope that you've enjoyed this lesson, and I really hope that you are going to participate during our other lessons as well, and that you found useful information during this class. Thank you very much. Please share the lesson if possible, and have a great day. Goodbye.